Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello everyone. So in this podcast, I will introduce myself and with three my friends. For the first, I'm Sofia Hafiz, and the second one is Afdal Anandadila,
Hai, I'm Afdal.
and the second one is Farhan Rizky,
Halo, I'm Farhan.
and the last one is Hanif Bilwahed.
Hello, I'm Hanif.
So in this podcast, we will talk about component of curriculum. So the first we talk about component of curriculum based on aims, goals, and objectives. So the first question I will ask you about how do you find aims, goals, and objectives in the context of English language education, curriculum development, and what are the fundamental differences among the three? So for the first, I want to listen Farhan perspective about this component.
Okay, thank you before. So, aims. For me, aims is a broad, general statement of what the curriculum frames intends to achieve over a long period. In English language education, aims reflect to overall vision or philosophy, such as developing students' communicative competence or fostering lifelong interest in language learning. This aim.
How about goals?
Goals. For me, goals is more specific than aim, but still relatively broad. They brought down the aims into achievable statements, often focus on particular language skill like speaking, reading, writing, listening. For example, a goal might be to enable students or engage in everyday conversation in English.
Okay, that's your perspective about goals. And the
Yeah.
last one, how about the objectives?
So objective is are the most specific and measurable. They define the exit learning outcomes expected by the end of lesson or unit, often using action verb. For example, by the end of the lesson, students will be able to introduce themselves using appropriate greeting in English.
Okay, so how do you difference between the three?
So difference between the goals, aims, and objective is in their scope and specifically. Aims are broad and long term. Goals are mid-level, and objectives are precise short-term outcomes.
Okay, thank you Farhan for your perspective. So
Yeah.
the next we go to Hanif perspective.
Okay, maybe aims are statement of general or long-term educational goals to be achieved, usually broad and abstract, describing the expectation or value to be realized through education. And aims are philosophical and rational with for learning programs, rather than a specific statement of what students will learn.
So the next is how about goals?
And goals are often considered synonyms with aims, especially in educational context, which are the general objectives to be achieved in the curriculum. Goals describe and expected ends set without specific criteria for achievement and are usually more concrete than ends. Goals can be attitudes, skill, or knowledge that students are expected to have after following a learning program.
So the last one, objectives.
And objectives are more specific and measurable goals that outline concrete steps on how to achieve goals. Objective contains a description of the abilities that students must have, the condition of the learning situation, and the evaluation criteria for achievement. Objectives serve as a guide in the preparation of material, learning strategies, and evaluating of learning outcomes.
So that's your first question. So how do you differentiate between the two?
And the differences and general or long-term educational. And the goals is describe expected and set without specific criteria for achievement, and are usually more concrete than ends. And the objectives are description of the abilities the students must have, the condition of the learning situation, and the evaluation criteria for achievement.
Okay, thank you for having this question. And the last one, I want to listen from Abdul perspective. How do you define aims, goals, and objectives? Can you tell me?
Define. Okay, the difference about aims and goals and objective is for the aims are the most common, representing a grand vision. For the goals are more specific objectives that support aims, and the last objectives are the most concrete and measurable goals, which, if achieved, will contribute to the achievement of goals and ultimately aims.
Okay, thank you for your perspective. So after I listen one by one your perspective, I will summary that aims are both broad, long-term, and philosophical statements that reflect the overall vision of education. And goals are more specific than aims, that providing general direction for educational programs, often focusing on skill areas, but still not very measurable. So the last is objective. Objective is the most specific, soften, and measurable. So they clearly define what students should achieve by the end of the class. Okay. So we come to the second question about aims, goals, and objectives. So as a perspective English teacher, how do you translate the aims of the national curriculum into more specific goals and objectives for the student in your class? For the first, I want to listen after opinion.
Okay, the first, you must understanding the aims of the national curriculum in its entry. The first step is to discover the aims of the national curriculum. I will identify keywords and phrases that indicate the skill, knowledge, and attitude expect of the student. For example, if the curriculum aims for the student to be able to communicate in English for a variety of purpose and context, I will note that this includes speaking, listening, reading, and writing skills, as well as an understanding of social and cultural context. It's the first step for me.
Okay, thank you, Amdal. So the next I want to listen by Hanif for your perspective.
Okay, and perspective number 2 is formulate class goals. From this end, create more specific goals relevant to your classroom context, and example, students are able to communicate effectively in English in everyday and situation.
Okay, so Last, I want to listen Farhan's opinion about this question.
Okay, as a future English teacher, so I would begin by carefully analyzing the national curriculum aims. For instance, I want aims to develop students' ability to communicate effective in English. I would translate this into classroom goals such as students will be improve their spoken fluency in everyday situations. Then I will design lesson objective with the goals. For example, in a lesson on introduction, an objective might be students will be this into classroom, introduce themselves and ask other names using correct sentence structure and intonation. And then by speaking down broad national aims, achievable goals and clear measurable objective, I can ensure that my teaching and focus effective and to my student needs and abilities. I think like that.
Okay, so from your opinion, I got the conclusion that the first step you do is analyzing the national curriculum, hence followed by you assessing your students' need to tailor the instruction. So after you get the curriculum ends, national curriculum ends, and assessing student needs, that you got the goals are formulated. So which are then broken down into specific from specific measurable objective. So this objective guide you to planning the lesson, learning activities and assessment. So ensuring the structure and student centered approach to achieving English language proficiency. So that's for the point from the second question. Okay. Okay, we come to the next question about component curriculum based on evaluation, assessment, and test. So the next question is, how do you as a prospective English teacher ensure that the assessment used to measure the language competencies achieved in the curriculum? So how to listen the first perspective by Hanif.
And I have the perspective to mengukur dalam assessment. And number one, use formative assessment that are oriented toward the continuous development of learners' competencies, not just final summative tests. And number two, ensure that assessment meets to meet requirements, measuring targets, competencies, and having a positive effect on students' learning process. And number three, design assessment instrument that cover all four language skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing in an integrated manner according to the competence standards and basic competence of the curriculum.
Okay, good. So we come to the Afdal answer.
Okay, I will ensure the assessment is appropriate curriculum by referring directly to learning outcomes and competency indicators. Assessment should cover core skills such as reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and use valid reliable instruments such as standardization assessment rubrics. That's all for me.
Okay, good opinion from Afdal. So
Okay.
we come to the last opinion Farhan's opinion.
Okay, so my opinion about this, to ensure that the assessment accurately measure the intended language competencies, I will align all assessment tools with the curriculum learning objective 5 means. First, using authentic tasks and reflect real-life language, use writing emails, participation, and dialogues. And second is designing assessment to cover all four language skills, include listening, speaking, reading, and writing, to depending on the objective. And number three is analyzing formative and summative assessment strategy. Formative assessment help track progress, while summative assessment evaluates achievement. And number four is using clear rubric or searching guides based on specific language competencies like grammar, accurately, fluently, and coherence. And then the last is including both product and process elements assessment, such as portfolio and review, to capture to that student.
Okay, so from your three opinion, I listen that the conclusion of the effective language assessment is must align closely with curriculum goals and competency indicators by integrating all four language skills such as listening, reading, speaking, writing, and so on. Using authentic and reliable assessment tools and providing constructive feedback. Assessment can both accurately measure targeted competencies and positively support students' language development. Okay, so that's the second question. So we come to the next question. The next question is what is if you were asked to design an evolution-based English curriculum, what important components should not be overlooked and why? So, Afdal, can you explain your opinion?
Okay, based on my opinion, the important components that should not be missed are learning outcomes, assessment criteria, and feedback mechanism. This is important because it ensures the curriculum focus on measurable learning outcome, fair evaluation, and continuous learning improvement. Okay, over.
Okay, thank you, Afdal. So we come to Farhan's opinion.
Okay, these components ensure that the curriculum is not only test-driven but also support meaningful language learning and teaching improvement. And evaluation-based English curriculum, several key components must not be overlooked. First, clear learning outcomes or objective. And next is assessment criteria and tools. And three is alignment between objective. And four, formative and summative assessment. And number five is feedback and mechanism. And number six is opportunities, something like that.
Okay, thank you, Farhan. So we come to the last opinion. Hanif.
Okay, and my opinion, clear competence standards and basic competencies, covering discuss ability and language skill in an integrated manner, like listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and valid and reliable assessment instrument, which can measure competencies strongly and in accordance with learning objectives. Okay, that's all for me.
Okay, I got from your opinion. So the question is a well-designed evaluation-based English curriculum must integrate clear learning outcomes, value excellent goals, and alignment between instruction and evaluation, incorporating both formative and summative assessment, structured feedback, and opportunities for self and peer assessment ensures a comprehensive, learner-centered approach. Additionally, cultural and contextual relevance enhance engagement and reward of applicability, making the curriculum effective in promoting meaningful and measurable language learning. Okay, thank you for your attention. Okay, we come to the next material about component curriculum based on teaching material. So, there are two questions. For the first question is, what component must teaching materials have to be effectively used in English language learning process? So, Afdal, can you give your opinion?
Okay, the components should the teaching material have to be effective in English language learning. The first component is alignment with the curriculum. The materials must be reflect the learning objective and components outlined in the curriculum. The second component is appropriate level of difficulty. Content should match students' language proficiency to ensure comprehension and engagement. The last is interrogation of the four language skills. Listening, speaking, reading, and writing should be developed in a balanced way.
Okay. Thank you, Afdal. Come to Tanya.
Okay, I have three components to be effective learning English. And number one is comprehensive of the four language skills. They also cover listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills for balanced and comprehensive language learning. And number two, relevant and contextual contents. Material that use authentic text and real-life situation help students understand language used in everyday life. And last, activities that encourage active participation. Techniques such as role play and task-based learning that invite students to interact directly in increase engagement and comprehension.
Okay, thank you, Hanif. So the last one, Farhan.
Okay, so in my opinion, I have 8 components. So effective teaching material. So effective teaching material in English language learning should include the following components. First, clear learning objective. Material must reflect the specific goals and outcomes of the lessons. And number 2 is language skill integration. Balance of listening, speaking, reading, and writing activities that reflect real language use. And number 3 is authentic and engaging contents. Text, dialogue, or tasks are relevant to student life, interest, and real world context. And number 4 is cultural appropriateness. Content that respect learners' cultural backgrounds while introducing them to target language culture. And number 5 is progressive difficulty. And activities should gradually increase in complexity to match student proficiency levels. And number 6 is visual and multimedia support, such as image, videos, and audio help learners understand and stay engaged. And number 7 is interactive and communicative activities, group discussion and role play to communication and practice used for language. And the last is assessment and feedback opportunities, built-in quizzes, reflective tasks on and checkpoint to evaluate learning progress. I
Okay,
think like
thank
that.
you, Farhan. So For the three opinions, I said that Farhan is the longest answer, right? Okay.
Right.
So the effective English teaching materials must align with curriculum goals, support balance development of all four language skills, and incorporating authentic, culturally relevant, and engaging content enhanced by multimedia and interactive activities ensures deeper learning and greater motivation. And clear objective, progressive difficulty, and built-in assessment opportunities further support meaningful language development and continuous improvement. So we come to the next question. Is what are the main challenges in developing teaching materials that align with curriculum, and how do you overcome them? So what is the challenges? Okay, so for the first one to listen is Farhan opinion.
So in there I have the main challenge include the first is aligning with curriculum standard is ensuring the material meets national or instructional learning outcomes can be complex. To address this, I will closely study of curriculum document and use backward design starting from the desired outcomes. And number two is meeting diverse learner needs. Students may have different levels, learning style, and material to interest. To overcome this, I will include determinate tasks and adaptable materials that allow for flexibility. And number three is limited resource or time. Teachers may lack time or tools to create high quality materials. And the last is keeping material updated and relevant. Language and context efforts. I will regularly review and revise material, include current topics, and incorporate student feedback.
Okay, thank you Farhan. So the next, Hanif, can you explain?
Okay, I have two challenges, and number one, tailoring material to diverse student characteristics. Students have different background and abilities. The solution is to develop material that are flexible and adaptable to the needs of the class. And number two, balance integration of the four language skills. Often material focus too much on just one skill. Overcome this by designing teaching material that combine listening, speaking, reading, and writing in the integrated manner. Okay.
Okay, thank you Hanif. So we come to the last opinion by Afgan.
Okay. The main challenge is align the material with curriculum standards while keep it engaging and relevant for diverse students. Every student has a different background, ability, and interest, and limit resource or time can do also add to the difficulty. To overcome this challenge, I will for suggestion. The first is conduct a needs analysis of student and the school context to ensure the material fits the real classroom situation, and design flexible and adaptable content that can be modified for various proficiency level, and strictly refer to the curriculum documents while still being creative in how the material is present. And the last is use feedback from students and fellow teachers to reverse and improve the materials continuously.
Okay, thank you for your opinion. So the main challenging in creating teaching material is making sure they match the curriculum standard while still being interesting and suitable for different types of students. So to solve this, teachers need to understand their students and classroom conditions, and flexible materials, and always refer to the curriculum. Teachers can also use free learning resources, work together with other teachers, and regularly update the materials to stay current. By being thoughtful, creative, and focused on learning goals, teachers can create materials that are effective and helpful for all students. Okay, good. Okay, we come to the next material. It's about CBI, content-based instruction analysis of curriculum in PLT. So the first question is, what is the main objective of implementing the CBI approach in English language teaching? So we come to Abdul.
Okay, thank you. The main purpose of implementing content-based instruction (CBI) is to teach English through meaningful and relevant subject content. With CBI, students learn the language while simulation, gaining academic knowledge, or exploring specific topics. Allow language skill to develop naturally in real life context.
Okay, that's it, Abdul.
Okay, just that.
Okay, thank you. So we come to Farhan.
Okay, so the main purpose of using the content-based instruction or CBI approach is the integrate language learning with meaningful content learning. Rather than teaching language is isolation, CBI teach English through academic or thematic contents such as science, history, or social topics. This approach helps students develop both language skills and subject knowledge at the same time, making language learning more relevant and engaging. The ultimate goal is promote language acquisition is context, encouraging students to use English is a tool for understanding and communicating real-world information.
Okay, thank you, Farhan. Good answer. The last,
Okay, the main goal of CBI is to enable students to master material or skill from various disciplines such as mathematics, physical, or history, while developing their English language skill. In other words, English is used as a medium for learning meaningful and relevant context, not as an end in itself. This approach emphasizes that students learn language more effectively when they use language as a means of acquiring information that is interesting and useful to them.
okay, so the main purpose of CBA is to help students learning English by using it to study meaningful and interesting subjects. So this way, students improve their language skills while also learning new knowledge. CBI makes learning more useful and joyful because students use English in real situation, not just in language exercise. Okay, that's true.
Yes,
That's true.
Okay, so we come to the next question. So, what are the benefits that students can gain when learning a language through the CBI approach? So, for the first, I'm going to say Hanif.
Okay, the benefits. Number one, student acquiring meaningful and contextual language skill because learn through authentic teaching material that come from various fields of science. And two language and context mastery go together. So students not only learn language but also applicable knowledge. And number three, language learning becomes more interesting and relevant as it is directly related to students' interests and needs. Okay, so for me.
Okay, thank you, Anya. The next, come to Afdal.
Okay, the benefit for the student include the first is increased motivation to learn, as the material is more engaging and connected to their interests or needs. The second is interrogated language skill development, since language is learned through authentic content. The three is enhance critical thinking skill, as the students are encouraged to understand and discuss academic topics. And the last is cross-disciplinary knowledge transfer, because the student learn language alongside content from other fields such as science, history, and geography.
Thank you. Okay, so the next, come to Pak.
Okay. The benefit student can gain several important benefits from the CBI approach, such as first, improve language proficiency, because exposure to meaningful and context-rich input help learners develop vocabulary, grammar, and core skill more naturally. Next is deeper engagement and motivation. Learning through interesting focus increase student motivation and encourage active participation. And number three is development of academic skill. So CBI helps students build skills like note taking, summarizing, and critical thinking. And the last is creator cultural awareness. By exploring various content areas, students can learn about different cultures and perspectives.
Okay, so after I listen your opinion, so based on what I get, CBI offers many benefits for students. For the first, it helps them improve their English skills while learning useful and interesting content from other subjects. Second, students stay more motivated because the topics are meaningful and related to their lives. So they also develop important academic skills like critical thinking and understanding different cultures. So, since language is learned in context, students remember it better and use it more naturally. So overall, CBI makes language learning more effective, engaging, and relevant. Okay, we come to the last materials about competency-based curriculum. So there are two questions. So the first question is, in your opinion, what are the main components of the learning process that should be reflected in the curriculum? So for the first volunteer, I will listen Farhan Miswa.
Okay. In my opinion, the main components of the learning process that should be reflected in the curriculum include first, clear learning objectives, because this guide the direction of teaching and assessment, ensuring students know what they are expected to achieve. And second is instructional strategies. The curriculum should suggest diverse and student coherent teaching methods. And number three is assessment method. Both formative and summative assessment should be integrated the minor and evaluate student progress effectively. And number four is learning activities. Meaningful tasks that promote active learning and help students apply what they learn. And number 4 is feedback and reflection. Opportunities for both teacher and student to reflect on their learning process and outcomes. And number 6 is research and material to supportive tools and contents. And the last is differentiations and inclusion. The curriculum should be accommodate different learning style, needs and backgrounds. I think that
Okay, thank you, Farhan. So we come to Afdal.
Okay. The main component that should be reflected in the curriculum include: the first component is a clear and measurable learning objective. The second component is a relevant learning material that match student needs and development level. The third component is active and student-centered teaching strategies and method. And the fourth component is authentic and varied assessment to measure both the learning process and outcomes. The fifth component is a feedback mechanism for continuous improvement in the teaching and learning process.
Thank you, Afdal. So the last minute can give the opinion.
Okay, the curriculum should reflect 5 main components that are integrated with each other. And number 1, objectives. Describe the expected learning outcomes of the learning process. And number 2, materials. The content or teaching material that students will learn to achieve the objectives. And number 3, learning strategies. The methods and approach used to deliver the material and achieve the objectives. And number 4, curriculum organization, the arrangement of the structure and sequence of material and learning activities. And number 5, evaluation, the assessment process to measure to achievement of learning objectives and effectiveness.
Okay, so the main component that I got from your opinion, a good curriculum should include clear learning objectives, suitable material, effective teaching strategies, and proper organization of lesson. So it should also have fair and varied assessment to measure student progress and support continuous improvement by including feedback, reflection, and consideration for different student needs. The curriculum becomes more inclusive, engaging, and effective in helping students reach their learning goals. So we come to the last question. So, in your opinion, what is the role of teachers as facilitators and process-based learning curriculum? So, for the first, I want to listen from who won the first?
Afdal.
Okay, Afdal.
Me for today.
Okay.
In the curriculum that emphasizes the learning process, the teacher acts as a facilitator who guides, motivates, and creates a supportive learning environment. The teacher's role goes beyond delivering content and includes: the first is encouraging students to actively explore knowledge. The second is a design learning activity that promote collaboration and critical thinking. The third is providing individualized support based on student needs. And the last is using formative assessment to monitor and enhance the learning process. Okay?
okay.
Thank you. So who's next?
Name
Farhan.
Farhan Aziz.
Okay, in a process-based curriculum, the teacher role shifts from being the sole source of knowledge to a facilitator of learning. This means the teacher first guides and supports students as they explore questions and contrast knowledge independent or collaborative. And second is create and positive and interactive learning environment that encourage curiously, critical thinking and creative. And number three is provide scaffolding. We need gradually reducing support a learner gain more independence. And the number four is monitor progress. As provides timely constructive feedback to help students stay on track. And the last is encourage self-directed learning by helping students set goals, reflect, and take responsibility for their learning. I think that's all. Back to Hafiz.
Okay, thank you, Farhan. So the last opinion by Hanif.
Sorry. Hanif.
Okay, in my opinion, the teacher acts as a facilitator who guides and facilitates the student learning process, not just as a material provider. The teacher helps create a conducive learning environment for students to actively build knowledge through experience and interaction. And the teacher directs students in using appropriate learning strategies, encouraging students to ask questions, discuss, and think critically.
Okay, thank you. So what I got that teachers role in process-based learning curriculum is teacher as a guider, supporter, and encourager students throughout their learning journey. Instead of just giving information, the teacher helps students explore, think critically, and learn through experience and interaction. By creating a positive learning environment, giving feedback, and helping students become more independent, the teacher helps students become active and confident learners. So that's all our discussion. So before that,
How do you
I listen from the first until the last our discussion. I listened that Farhan and Afdal said knowledge.
Yeah.
So what is the true pronouns knowledge? The knowledge or knowledge?
Knowledge. I think, in my opinion, the pronunciation is knowledge.
Knowledge or knowledge?
Knowledge.
So the true one is knowledge. Okay. So Afdal and Farhan just now said the knowledge. So the true one is knowledge.
Knowledge. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Hafiz.
I love it.
Yeah. So how do you feel after our discussion in this podcast? Afdal, it's so enjoyable or seriously?
The feeling is I enjoy for the podcast, for the material. I got many knowledge,
Okay.
and I like discuss this topic and what we talk.
Okay. So how about Farhan?
Yeah, I think I feel so interesting to.
So you enjoy this podcast?
Yes, I'm very enjoy and joyful.
Okay. So how about Ane?
Okay, I enjoy for this podcast and material.
Okay.
Okay.
Give applause to us. Okay. Okay. So Thank you for Farhan, Afdal, and Hanif to come
Yes,
to my
thank you.
podcast and give your opinion about my questions. And I'm so sorry for taking your time
Oh,
and
no problem.
No problem.
My
It's
pleasure.
okay.
I'm take care of you. Okay?
Wow.
Thank you.
Okay.
So see you in the next podcast.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye.